I'm Katie White, and this is By the Book, Enhancing Relationships Through Literature. My mission here at By the Book is to connect you with books that foster personal growth and strengthen relationships with family and friends. I believe the best relationship advice is already out there, and I'm here to help you discover it. Today we have my friend Rebecca Blackhurst. She's from Mesa. We met in Family Theories and Dynamics on BYU Idaho campus with Dr. Scott Gardner, and she would love to one day be a therapist or a seminary teacher one day. She's an artist, super thrifty, crafty, and loves Broadway musicals. She's married to Augustus Blue Blackhurst since January 2023, and they are expecting their first baby girl in less than 2 weeks. So, without further ado, Rebecca, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks.
Okay. So we're just going to get started with the Peach and Pit. This is something new we've been doing on the podcast the past, I believe, like 2 or 3 episodes. So what is the Peach and the Pit of your life as of late? What's been great? What's been hard?
I feel like this is going to be really obvious, but the peach is that we're having a baby soon.
Such a win.
And the pit is that I'm still pregnant, almost 10 months, and everything gets worse every day. So...
Well, you look great, and I'm
Thanks.
so grateful for you to be doing this today. When I texted Rebecca to do this podcast, I'm like, I know you're about to give birth any day now. We could wait till later, but she said she was down, so here we are. Okay, well, tell us which book you chose to talk to us about today and why.
Okay, I picked a children's book, a picture book. It's called The Library Lion, and I picked it because... Well, I don't know, it changed my life, and that was the prompt, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it just taught me, or reminded me of a lot of lessons that I needed to be reminded of, and I use them all the time.
I love that. When you first told me you wanted to do a children's book, I was like, I don't know if that's really what I want to do on the podcast. But as you were talking to me about it more, I was like, you know what? Like, this definitely fulfills the purpose of the podcast, and I'm really excited for you to talk a little bit more about it. So tell us a little bit about the author.
Okay, so her name is Michelle. I've heard it pronounced a couple different ways. I say Knudsen, but I've heard it Knudsen. Like we pronounce the K.
It's hard to say if it's silent or not sometimes.
Right. So I don't know which one it is. And I honestly don't know a ton about her. I did do a little bit of research, but she's just a children's book author. So,
Mm-hmm.
But she writes a ton of children's books, and this one specifically is a New York Times bestseller. It was on their 100 best children's book of all time.
Wow.
And she has a Master of Fine Arts.
Okay.
And she just still writes children's books, and she teaches also.
Okay.
In the fine arts program at it. I wrote it down. Leslie University.
Very cool. Alrighty. So how were you introduced to this book? How did you find it?
So I used to work in a kindergarten classroom. I was a para, so I helped the kindergartners who have special needs. Mm-hmm. And they did a story time every day. It was my favorite time of day. And sometimes I had to be really careful not to get frustrated when my kid was struggling during story time, because I was like, this is story time, please.
Focus up,
listen
please.
to the story. But this book came on, or we read this book, and I don't know, I just loved it. I immediately texted my sister and said, you need to read this book. It's so good. It made me cry. I'm just in the back of the kindergarten classroom crying about this children's book. Anyway, so that's how I found it.
That's adorable. So you found it in kindergarten.
In kindergarten,
as an adult.
Yes.
I love that. That's adorable. Okay, so I'm super excited to hear your thoughts about this. She sent me a little bit of a voice clip before we did this, and everything she said on there was incredible. So I'm excited for you, our audience, to hear more about her thoughts. So she's now going to teach us about a main principle the book teaches, or some of her main takeaways, and how that relates to relationships. So I'll let you take it from here.
Okay. I did want to say, I probably should have said it earlier when you asked why I picked this book, but I love children's books because I feel like they teach so many simple and obvious lessons that we forget about a lot, and ones we assume we know, but we don't really. And also they're lessons that we expect children to learn, not so that they can be easy children, but so they can be happy, healthy, functioning adults, which is what I want to be. So I should probably be learning and looking at those lessons and reminding myself of them.
I love that. Constantly.
So that's part of the reason I love children's books. I feel like you can learn a lot more from them than you think. But this one specifically, can I tell you a little bit about the plot?
Please.
It's a story.
Please tell us the plot of the story.
So it's about a lion who discovers a library, and I can't remember the librarian's name. I think it's Miss Sullivan. I'm just gonna look really fast in the book. Miss Merriweather, not Sullivan. Miss Merriweather.
The art in this book is also so cute.
Isn't it so pretty?
Everyone go check it out.
That picture was a spoiler.
Just for the art.
The art is so good. So Miss Merriweather is hearing like some ruckus, and she comes out and she's like, "What is all this noise?" And there's her assistant is Mr. McBee, and he's like, "There's a lion in the library," and it's really causing some issues. And so she goes over to the lion, and she said, "If you're gonna be here, you need to follow the rules." And the lion said, he didn't say anything, but he's like, "Okay." So he follows the rules, and Mr. McBee, the assistant, hates it. He's like, "There should not be a lion in the library. Like, we need to get him out. I hate that he's here." But all the kids loved him. He went to story time. They'd lay on him, and he would help in the library. He'd help Miss Merriweather, who's this frail old lady. And then at some point, Miss Merriweather is in her office, and the lion, who has followed all the rules, is like the biggest one being quiet. She falls and is hurt, and she can't get up. And she tells the lion, "Go tell Mr. McBee, like, go get help. I need help." And so the lion goes up to Mr. McBee. Mr. McBee is being a jerk, I'll be honest. And the lion's trying to communicate with him, but he's trying to keep the rules because he knows, like, especially Mr. McBee is like, you have to keep the rules. And he's a good lion. But he finally is like, he's worried about Miss Merriweather, and so he finally roars. And Mr. McBee is like, "Get out. You're out of here." And then he, like, goes to find Miss Merriweather to tell her, and finds her on the ground, and is like, oh no. And so she gets help, but as soon as the lion broke the rule, he left. And then Miss Merriweather got help or whatever, and then the lion never came back. And everybody, all the patrons at the library and the librarian, they were all sad because their friend the lion is gone. But the deal was with the lion, if he broke the rules, he had to leave. Right. And he did, and so he didn't come back. And then Mr. McBee, partly because I'm sure he's seen all these sad people, he goes and he walks around New York in the rain and finds the lion and apologizes to him and tells him to come back and that he can come back to the library. And so that's the plot. And I love it because, first of all, I mean, it kind of teaches it's okay to break rules, which isn't necessarily my favorite. But more, I think it teaches not to judge. Like, I see people making choices that I wouldn't make, and I very quickly judge them. But this helps me realize there's so much more going on that I don't know. So at any given point, I shouldn't be judging somebody. I should be trying to understand or getting to know them better at least. And then I also love what it teaches, like, about sacrifice. I don't think the lion has a name, but the lion, he knows as soon as he roars, he can't come back to the library. But he's worried about Miss Merriweather, and that's what is more important to him. And so he makes that sacrifice to save Miss Merriweather. And there's, like, some pictures of him being all sad in the rain because he can't go back to the library. And then I also love that, and this is something I talk about with my sister, so I just want to give her credit. She kind of helped me realize it, but it's kind of a big deal that Mr. McBee went out and apologized. There's, like, today we say sorry a lot, but it's not really, like, very intentional. It's kind of in passing, or when we really realize we did something wrong, we don't really apologize. But Mr. McBee went out of his way to go find the lion and to, like, apologize. And I think that one specifically, and sacrifice for relationships, is really important. My husband and I, in our marriage, I feel like we have, apologizing is a really big deal to us, and we have worked to be really good at that. And not just being like, oh, I'm sorry I did that thing, but when we realize we're wrong or we were wrong, we say, I'm really sorry that I did this. I didn't mean for it to go this way or whatever. But being really intentional about going out of our way and making sure they know we were wrong and we're sorry and we want to be better.
Yeah.
And that, I think, makes a really big difference in our marriage, especially when we fight. Our fights, like, can be big, but eventually they're meaningless because we're able to come back and apologize.
Yeah. That's powerful. Thank you for sharing all of that. And I just think that I needed to have more of an open mind with this podcast, even of just like what you were sharing about there being so many valuable lessons in children's literature. And just like hearing you talk about that, I could feel just your passion and your emotion for these lessons. And I think that that's super powerful. And so I feel like, honestly, if anything, I think that from this we can learn that there's a lot to learn from simple stories, from simple experiences, and that if we're not learning from them, that's like on us. So thank you for sharing all of that. That was really beautiful.
Yeah. Some of my most like powerful memories of when something has hit me hard has been in the kindergarten classroom, or I also taught primary, which is like at our church, the little kids, or in there. Some kid said something and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so good. Or in some primary song that we sang that was new to me. Like, those are the ones that have hit me the hardest in my life, I think.
I love that. So with all of this, who would you recommend the book to and why?
Well, like everybody else, I would recommend it to everybody, especially since it's such a beautiful book and it's short and easy to read. But also anybody who... I forgot. My brain is dead.
It's okay. Baby's coming in 2 weeks. That happens.
Anybody who doesn't like to read, but needs a good reminder of some simple lessons. And anyone who needs a good cry. And also, it did encourage me to, like, apologize more. And so anyone who maybe needs a little encouragement and push to have courage to say sorry to someone about something.
Yeah. I think that's really beautiful. I also really like that the lion took, like, he had a lot of integrity. That if he was going to break the rule, he knew the consequences of that, and he wasn't, like, trying to still show up at the library. He's like, I understand the consequences, and he left. And he didn't return until he got an invitation to return. And so I think that's, like, another lesson, just, like, to have integrity, and that when you know the consequences of something, that you're not trying to, like, get out of it, but just like accept the consequences for your actions and be aware of the consequences before you make the choice.
True.
Yeah.
I love the lion.
What a precious
He's
lion.
So good.
That's so cute. So based off of the principles of this book, what would you invite our audience to do?
I think, one, if there's someone that you need to apologize to do it, and to do it intentionally. And I don't know. I want to say read the book, but
yeah,
that's kind of a lame one. But I mean,
it's a short one. Everyone should read this one for sure. If you're gonna read any of them, go read this one. It'll take you 10 minutes to read it.
It's true, and then you'll probably want to own it and read it every day.
I started like looking at children's books when I go to like different stores and stuff. I'm like, I just want to start a children's book collection for my kids one day. So I'll definitely have to add this one to the collection. It's super cute. All right, Rebecca, is there anything else you want to add before we wrap up?
Not really. Except don't sleep on children's books.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you'll have to send me a list of your other favorites.
I will.
Okay. I'll post it so that everyone else can see it. Perfect. All right. Well, to our audience, thank you so much for joining us today on Buy the Book. We hope that you've enjoyed your time with us. The link to the book on Amazon and Audible. I don't know if this book is going to be on Audible. It's a short one, but maybe YouTube. Maybe there's a listen to it on YouTube.
That's how we watched it in kindergarten.
Okay, perfect. I'll post that then in the show notes. Let us know in the comments if you end up reading the book and your main takeaways. Next week's podcast will be released next Tuesday at 7 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. Please also leave a comment below of other books you'd like to hear about in future episodes and guests you think I should have on. Follow us on Instagram at Buy the Book with Katie for updates with more info on these great books and our incredible guests. We'll see you next time.